Hello again, people! Welcome to another edition of the Thief Gold Fan Mission IMO playthrough. I'm your host, Deathstalker, and today we shall be checking out a level known as a rendering demo. And, as assumed by the title, it is a demo, and will be loaded up in DromEd. So, it was made by Sean Barrett on June 6th of 1999. The date of release in this readme is actually saying 1996, but that would be totally insane. And yeah, basically the goal of this one is to demonstrate certain basic properties of the renderer, things you should probably know when building your own levels. So this level is pretty similar in how it works to Principles. It is a level totally intended to be useful for DromEd builders more than the general public. So, yeah, probably not that useful for most people, but we'll check it out anyway for historical purposes. And beyond that, we're also going to be using this similar to Principles. We have a follow along readme, which luckily is a lot smaller than the other one. And we'll see how exactly all this works. Anyway, let me load up the level here, so that way we have everything ready to go. And beyond that, this level also came out a day after the previous level that we looked at, which was the Deceptive Scepter. So right now, we're basically going one level at a time. Alright, that looks good. So, beyond that, let's see here. So we're going to be checking out various constraints we have to work with within using the Thief renderer, apparently. And already it automatically is capturing my DromEd window. That's nice. Alright. So I don't even have to do anything. It's already just automatically started. So, now you're able to see my world. Making sure you can see the full window. That's good. Even though there's no sound as usual in these DromEd things. But we'll ignore that for the time being, because our main goal is just to check out this rendering demo. You can see like a house there, like another house over here, and there's a hole. This one looks a lot more refined than the previous one, the Principles one. Alright, so the exits from the street are mysteriously blocked off, but that rabbit hole looks tempting. So below there, apparently there's going to be some numbered rooms. Actually, yes it would. That probably is a good reason this is totally about rendering. It's not about audio or anything normal like that. So instead, health would distract from rendering, weapons would distract for anything would. So instead, we just wander around in our weird software mode wobbliness. Your smiley broke? Oddly enough, it's actually working for me on my end on my phone. So maybe it's just your computer, or maybe it's computers in general and mobile's working. But yeah, this is like a weird wobbly motion, for the software mode. And this motion always makes me just remember that how Garrett's model actually looks that we saw back in the the blooper reel. So that's just a little weird thing to say. Anyway, so apparently down there's going to be numbered rooms. But beyond that, there's apparently various things they can say what's going on with the renderer. Apparently we have different stuff we can do. So first of all, something that I should be able to show you apparently. If you type shift and semicolon, you get the console. So if you're ever wondering how to pull up the console, this is actually how you do it. Those of you who believe in that Thief didn't have a console because the tilde key, which is the standard one used in these type of things, didn't work. I just wanted to hear some sound for a second, so sorry about that, people. I just wanted to hear a sound. But yeah, if you basically just use shift and that semicolon, and you got yourself a console. Here is the console. That would do absolutely nothing. And I believe you can type in commands, like you could probably type in like similar commands that you could in DromEd. So probably, could you type like R Fulbright on? And probably need to actually render it, don't ya? Well, because I don't know if that's actually going to do anything at all. R Fulbright off. Even though that's probably not doing anything. Actually, that's pretty interesting. Like I said, in most FPS games, like Quake, any of them, it would normally be bound to tilde. Um, but yeah, for Thief, it's bound to shift and semicolon. So, rather weird. Anyway, apparently the next command we have is Alt, Shift, and S, which gives us this, which basically is our detailed output thing. This basically is something that you can get in a lot of games by pressing the F3 key. So this is a lot more complicated of a way to access the same menu, but it works just the same. You know, it's rather unintuitive. The keys definitely for Thief. That's why, like, I have to. It's nice that I'm even getting to here to see that because I tend to forget about these as I generally don't use them. F3 in here just, I don't really have anything in here that I need to be looking at or whatnot. But yeah. So really, the only thing I can really even make sense of is different. Is like a couple different things, like the player's position, the map, the frames per second that we're getting, which doesn't really matter because look at it, it's constantly bouncing up between 166 and 200 apparently. And apparently there's partially visible objects, and various things like that. And yeah, when we move around our mouse, we can see different amounts of polygons rendered, which is the surfaces on these walls. And for some reason, apparently, looking at these, probably because these are like the intersections, is where the most of them are. As you see when you get closer, because you're not seeing as much of the wall, the numbers get smaller. And there's also various other things to use, apparently, that we could use a command line to actually cut it down, command info volume or something like that. And it can be increased for more info or decreased for less info based on that command, where you'll just see more or less, and it's set to like a default of 10. Okay, just a lot of other commands and other pointless stuff here. Doopa-doopa-doo, skip a lot of this stuff. Bring line, just various things, about how to render stuff we don't really care about here because it won't suit us for wandering around aimlessly in this level. And I can't really show it easily. And you can pick up the README easily enough by looking on the internet. So yeah, due to laziness and whatnot, I'm skipping a lot of this random commands and whatnot that we aren't going to be using here. Like various timings and whatnot that are like, hardware acceleration and time spent by your processor and various different things. See polygons, different things basically being shown here. All stuff that really we don't need to worry about. So I'm going to basically just get rid of Alt Shift and S. No, Alt Shift and S, not Alt Control S. And there we are. So that way it's cleaned out. So those are just some extra commands that you could use. I'm not really going to bother with them just because I never normally do. There's various ways. I think there's like a way you could probably level skip in there too. Though I don't know why you would ever do that because of the easier key commands. But honestly, I couldn't even tell you a single console command in Thief that would be really useful to play around with. So yeah, I tend not to goof around with the consoles in Thief like I would other games. Anyway, whoopsie-doo, we just fell into this large ROM here. And this was made apparently just to show us we could get large ROMs. Well, thank you, game. I could not tell that by doing the original game that we could make large ROMs. Apparently it has, oops, maybe I should actually show something because it's telling you how many polygons we have in this ROM. which now I have essentially put less information. How on earth did I do that one? I have no idea. Back to not caring! So yeah, there's just 250 polygons here or something like that, and... Oh, wait a minute. This is the large intersection. Wait a minute here. I'm supposed to be going to the number rooms. I am good, ain't I? I'm proud of myself. But yeah, this is a large room with 4 tables in this room. For whatever reason. With 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh yeah, look at that. 4 tables in a giant freaking room. This is what you call a waste of space, definitely, but for purposes of rendering, this might actually be useful. Let's see here. There are 4 tables in the room. Can you make the one out in the far corner? Can we? Let's see. I can. Well, that was easy. I win. I didn't win anything, apparently. This game doesn't actually give me any type of reward for seeing that table, but, well, I guess the only thing to do is continue on. Alright, so, room number 2. Room number 1 was pretty pathetic. I don't even really know why why was that a thing? Just because maybe you couldn't see that table in the far corner? I don't really know what the point of that was. Just to make a large room and throw 4 tables in it to see. Yeah. The one thing about people building large rooms is the fact that, yeah, a lot of it's a general waste of space. This is probably what inspired stuff that, comes later, like cubes and whatnot. All those nightmares are just freaking large. So, yeah, we can blame this room for that. Okay. And hey, Phpminor, sorry you have such a dilemma with all these people, you're like watching right now. For some reason, nobody really plays many of the games I play. Generally because I'm pretty lame and don't play many games that, in a big variety like I should. Or maybe I just have terrible choice in games, or maybe I just have a better choice than everyone else because I'm playing awesome games like Thief. But in any event, nobody plays Thief or any of these things, so I don't usually get to watch people. So yeah, I'm kind of the opposite side of the spectrum where I never really get many people. Like, people like Netsus here never really streams. So anyway, let's see here. Room number 2. What's this room? It looks like room number 1, but with a skybox! Wow. It's the exact same size as the first room. The difference is that the floor is scaled by a factor of 4 times each dimension. Meaning it's a scale of 18 instead of 16, and it's a sky which requires 1 polygon. That means it takes a lot less polygons, which would be a lot more useful if I actually had the menu that could show you the number of polygons. I'm really starting to regret my ability to be able to pull that up. Okay, let's see here. Maybe we can figure out how to do this for a second here. Okay, let's see here. Doop-a-doop-a-doo. I think I need to put in, let me see here, info, volume 10? No? Okay, here, let's see. No, oh, no. Technical difficulties of pressing wrong buttons. Why is it showing just that? Wait, how do you pull up polygons? I don't even know. Did I get rid of the command that would get rid of polygons? Is it a key combination I pressed that got rid of it? Let's see, Control Shift S, I think maybe. Oh, there we are. Shift Control Alt and S. Apparently that switches between this and the simplified version. So yeah, I learned a key combination today. 4 keys makes that happen. And yeah, you can see this has very, very little polygons. So now we can actually look at these rooms and see that it is 60 polygons there. And here, we have more polygons, even though it's just a freaking empty room. And we run over here. And look at that, a lot more polygons than either room. So many polygons. This reminds me of like an RPG or something too much where all of a sudden everything's starting to be based on numbers. I'm just seeing numbers everywhere. Okay, so now apparently we're getting to room 3, but apparently they subsected it into room 3-1 and room 3-2 for whatever reason. We'll see why. Okay, room 3-1 is this. It's a room with a couple pillars. Not much going on. Wait, why did you include this? You seriously, you're... Okay, apparently this is normal. Let's see room 3-2, where the example perhaps will get clearer why this room is here. Pay no attention to room 3-1. Oh, look! It's tiny version! It's the exact same room built at 1/4 the scale, with a lot fewer polygons, because everything's smaller and the light map's smaller, and there isn't as much polygon splitting, whatever that really is, just the different angles of whatnot. So basically, it's saying that you change the texture scales on one of the rooms so it looked like the other room, they'd use the same. So basically, if you change, basically the polygon count, the reason why it is because of the textures being smaller, and we kind of got that already from the previous example. However, the interesting thing of this one is that, well, it's a lot like Little Big World now, isn't this? Suddenly I feel like I'm in Little Big World again, with a normal sized room and then a really small version of the same room. Hooray! Little Big World back here again. And sorry, Phpminor, but I've never even played Battlefield 2142. I was, that's how out of it I am. I've never even touched that game. My childhood was Thief. I've lived on Thief for years, and, well, that's probably why I'm still playing it to this day. And again, it's an awesome game. No matter what, I would be playing it. But yeah, normal size. Little Big World. Yeah, this is exactly what happens when you have a precursor to Little Big World. Not as fancy or amazing as Little Big World. It's just 4 columns. But it's something. It's the start of a smaller scale idea. Anyway. You can build large spaces if you're careful with the texture scale, is basically the lesson from this, though, is that you can make a really large area. You just up that texture to a large amount. And, of course, you have to cut down the detail tremendously. At least back in the day. And one of these pillars would actually make thousands of polygons in one of those 2 large rooms there, apparently. Anyway, so now we're getting to room 4, which is about water, apparently. Which is a cube of water floating in space. And we see the awesomeness of the software rendering mode water. Wow, look at that. Just look at that awesome blue flickering triangular thing there. So it was just turned on the corner to simplify, the process of making it, go through here without colliding with any surfaces or whatnot. And it renders fine in hardware, but is totally broken in software rendered mode. Okay, we're in hardware software mode. This is actually an important thing to note. Even though I've always been saying that DromEd's in software mode, it truly isn't. There really is 2 versions of the software DromEd mode. It's weird like that. I really don't understand it, but this is what you get if you play Thief normally and go to software mode. That's as far as I can get. However, in DromEd, this is hardware mode for whatever reason. So really, when I'm talking about software mode, I'm talking about real game software mode is being DromEd hardware mode. And we have a DromEd software mode, which is where this will get broken. So let me go in here, and I'm going to change hardware off. It looks like I didn't do anything because the hardware was already off. However, by coming in here and just going to where the hardware is off, it changes it. See? That's what we get now. Look at that. Look at that. Just, what is that? Yeah, and we come in here and it's like a flickering green square. Wow. Just look at that. That's, yeah, I don't think you can probably get this in NewDark. I don't know if NewDark can do this or what. But this is what happens when you want to break your game. You And this is why you never change, and this is why you never go into your options when in DromEd if you're playing in the original version. I don't know about NewDark, but this is why you never go into your options and happen to look at hardware mode, because you'll get this. And it doesn't look pretty in your normal missions, especially. At least here it's just supposed to look like this, but normally, yeah, this is not pretty. And I can't remember how... Your computer sounds like a vacuum we insert or use a CD? Yeah, that sounds like a really old computer. Wow. Just look at that green flickering as you go from various corners. So weird. Anyway, and now I can't even remember. There we are. Alt Shift S shuts it off. Couldn't remember that. But that's our water. Anyway, I think we've seen enough of this water. And I don't think it's actually possible to switch it back. So let me go back in here. Now we have broken water. So, this is the water we're going to be seeing for the rest of the game. Hooray! Let's see what else we have here. Maybe we'll have to bounce back and forth. The good news is, in this video setup, I can actually switch back and forth between DromEd and whatnot easily, without really messing up anything. Also, another interesting thing, Garrett moves even faster in this software mode, if you notice. He's like even more wonky. The lights are even uglier than usual. And everything is just worse than even before. If you thought before software mode was terrible looking, this is the real software mode. And yeah, this is not pretty at all. Just so... Exactly. It ruins everything. It ruins the lighting, really. It just feels really weird. This is why, DromEd software mode is bad enough, because DromEd software mode is pretty much, like I said, what you expect out of software mode if you go into the original game. But this is, what am I saying? That is DromEd hardware mode. And this, being DromEd software mode, is so much worse. And yeah, trying to imagine playing a level looking like this. It's just so hideous. It looks like an abomination, honestly. Yeah, that might explain things. And the fact that I have a quad-core processor probably doesn't help this. I'm lucky that, I have ways to, set it up so that way it's only run on a single core processor when doing the regular Thief Gold. But in DromEd, I don't seem to need to be able to do that for whatever reason. I'm able just to play it on my quad-core processor. So I've been letting it just do its thing, and we'll wander around rapidly now. That also probably explains why sometimes I have like fast-speeding weapons and whatnot. I don't think it's supposed to spin that fast. I'm not sure. But yeah, I have some minor things like that. That's just the rapidness. Anyway, this Thief never does anything like this because the software renderer can't do it right. Because it's basically talking about the green lines or something, I think. The actual water here is actually how the water looks in software mode. The greenness is not so much. The greenness is a weird anomaly that acts up just because of this one particular example. It's a really weird green effect for various angles. And blah, 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 various things about sight lines, various things rendering. It basically was never meant to cope with this type of stuff. Basically, that's how to summarize it. It wasn't meant to do that, and we did it. and this is why you don't do that. Okay, number 5, particle effects. Okay, and this is a freaking particle effect right here. Maybe we should go back to hardware mode since we are gotten our fill software mode so we can see our real. Oh, wait a minute. I'm going to have to actually go in. Yeah, because. And so. I'm messing things up majorly for myself. 1 second, people. I'm going to have to go back into my regular game, load up there, get to pull up hardware mode. Then from there, I can switch it back over. Then I can jump back to DromEd. It's a bit of a pain, but it's much better and will look a lot better in the end result than trying to play on this little tiny thing now in load up blatantly or whatever. You won't see anything because I don't even have it set up so that way you can see anything. I'm just having it so that way hardware mode is rendered up. Now I can jump back into DromEd. And DromEd. So, sorry about that, people. Lots of chaotic jumping around, but that's how it kind of works with this type of thing. Oh, I think I just loaded up Principal. Oopsie. Render. Oh, come on. There we are. Okay, we're back in the game, and it's in hardware mode again. Right, so we drop down here. And we got our normal looking cool textures again. Yay! We get to look at awesome blue square again, in full blue squariness. Alright, now we get to see our awesome particle effect. Trippy, man! Look at that. Just watch it spin around in circles. Okay, let's see here. What do you have to say about this one? I feel like I'm on one of those audio tours or like a museum or something where you basically go to each exhibit and then you listen to like the audio tape or something. In this room, you'll see Cro-Magnon Man and his fight against mankind. So, beyond that, then all of a sudden they talk about irregular terrain, which basically says that it's impossible to do irregular terrain. And yeah, this room basically was just created to show particles. That's the entire purpose of this room. Really? No, nothing to explain. Just the particle has a bunch of different things you can do with it. See what you can come up with. Here's a particle. Well, thank you. That was pretty vague. I was expecting something more of it, and then it goes on to a random tangent about irregular terrain you can't build. Okay. Okay, so room number 6. So we run down here, doop-a-doop-a-doo, and we got this thing, which is a bunch of icicles combined with each other, apparently. So we Alt-Shift and S this, and if you look down here, it's about like 50 or so, but as you go up, it starts becoming more polygons. And it uses generally about 50 polygons, but to render it, Thief has to break up a lot of polygons, and it ends up being around 160 afterwards. That's not ideal, though, but it could be a lot worse because these edges are placed inside other edges, which is getting rid of certain polygons. Because that would cause a bunch of little polygons if one of these was actually sticking out, apparently. So, apparently, this is actually a nice optimized way to do it. If you had these sticking out just a little bit, it would cause a lot of problems and a lot more lag for old school things. Do we even really care about polygons this day and age when it comes to like an old game like Thief? Probably not really, but back in the day, this was a big thing. Remember, this was state of the art back when it was released, and similar, Funny to think, 100 and something polygons. It's like nowadays, you can't even make a crate with a few polygons. It takes quite a few to make it. So that's how far we've come from these days. 160 polygons, they probably laugh at you today for something like that. I don't know exactly how PHPMinor is playing Battlefield 1942 and or 2142 and playing this at the same time. Um. Anyway, let's see here. Bunch of polygons might cause some other polygons to split. Blah blah blah. And most of this is just pretty redundant. It seems like just stuff about talking about the polygons being here. It basically is causing more. If you were to not have this many, it wouldn't be so bad. And not all of this is stuff that we can actually see. Some of the polygons that we're seeing here are just necessary for um, consistency, but isn't actually a thing. It would be effectively invisible, and it would cause more likely to get a crash. That is one thing we do have to be kind of conscious of, is that I think the Thief engine has like a polygon limit, definitely. I know NewDark increased that limit quite tremendously, which just continues what I was saying earlier about nowadays we don't really have to worry about polygons. Well, when the game's new, we kind of do. That kind of goes for saying with any old game. Really, back in the day, we had a lot of worry about frame rates and polygons, and nowadays most people's computers can run this stuff. So pretty much a lot of different rendering things for various things. And then it gives us a bunch of rules of thumb at the end about how to do different tricks or whatnot that really don't fit in with anything else, so I don't really think I'm going to read those. Anyway, so what's the important thing to take out of this level? Well, the fact that you can reach the console, even though I didn't really show any command lines to really use in a console, and I can't really think of any off the top of my head. Alt Shift and S brings up this menu here, but well, I'm not really sure when you care about this menu under normal circumstances at all. And remember, Alt Control Shift S is going to switch between the polygon one and the mini one. And the fact that you can make large rooms, but cut down the polygons. And in fact, basically, a lot of these can be summed up as how to limit yourself in polygons, which really in today's age is pretty outdated. So yeah, basically, everything in this level is pretty much useless today, and it's really just kind of useful and nice to look at for like historical purposes. But for actual usefulness today, for making a level in DromEd, this probably is stuff that isn't exactly useful due to the limits not being in place like they once were, and us not having to worry about cutting down the number of polygons by getting change the textures around or downgrading our performance or whatever. And we had the random particle run. Didn't even tell us anything about particles. They just said, here's a particle. There you go. So I'm not really sure how that was helpful. And, well, the thing about software mode, I really hope you don't have to play Thief in DromEd software mode. Because in that case, I don't even know how you're playing the regular game. Because like I said, this is what software mode in Thief Gold is. So if you can't play in this, how on earth are you even playing the game? Uh-oh. And we have a disconnection issue. 1 second, people. Waiting for it to catch up on Twitch. And it's blinking. Why does Twitch do this? Stop, Twitch. Come on. It's now dropping a lot of frames. I swear, it just acts up at times. I don't know why it does this. It'll work fine. It's been working fine for half an hour. And now it's freaking out on me. And it'll just go back to being fine. There we are. It's fine. So, yeah. as Netsus was saying, that she recommends Dale's DromEd tutorials. Probably eventually I'll bump across those. I don't know if that's actually textual, if those are actual levels that I'll be checking out eventually. Who knows? But in any event, um, these definitely are pretty outdated, to say the least. I think really anything for DromEd 1 is probably outdated entirely, because I think DromEd 2 kind of changed a lot of the game, especially due to the fact that, we could actually have full screen in DromEd, which helps things tremendously for me. It really changes the experience with trying to fit things around or whatnot. So, yeah, polygon count, that doesn't really matter. Water, and software mode, that I don't really understand how you can be playing Thief Gold if you can't play it in software mode, which is what this is. Explain how that works to me. So you can't play Thief Gold in software mode, but you're going to use DromEd in software mode, because DromEd hardware mode is Thief's Gold software mode. I'm kind of confused about that. That really is confusing, to say the least. And I'm getting disconnections again. Ay, ay, ay. I was planning on wrapping this up, and now all of a sudden it's decided to freak out on me. The good news about all of this is, like I've said before in my video series, my YouTube version of this is going to be fully functional. Of course, the Twitch version is freaking out. So yeah, I'm sorry, people on Twitch, about all this acting up. Like I said, I don't know why it does this and sometimes it doesn't. At least the good news is the fact that the output video now on YouTube is finally solidified. I think we're actually getting 0 frames a second right now. There we are. It's starting to go back up. Still drop frames and not ideal, but it's getting better. Anyway, as Nexusletum was saying, he's a YouTube guy. Don't think he's done anything in a few months, though. And hey, we heard Garrett actually jump there. If we crouch and then jump, we can actually hear him gasp for air. Listen to this. We're hearing the sound! I've gotten sound in the level! Huzzah! I've managed to find a way to get sound. Just keep gasping for air, Garrett. This makes all the sound in the level. This is the audio cues of the entire bloody level. We found it. We found the audio. This is what you get to listen to. But yeah. I do know for a fact that Comag has some tutorials for DromEd. There's different video sources, and Netsus recommends Dale's. Netsus probably knows a lot more about me on this type of stuff. I've messed around with DromEd enough to know how to use it and get what I want done. And I know level design principles in general, but when it comes to doing anything special in DromEd, I definitely don't have usually the patience to do it, because I tend to have the bad luck to have a lot of crashes. And maybe actually eventually I'll actually have a bit more patience nowadays, because part of the problem was my write speed of my old computer. It was a pain to save, and DromEd, kind of the lesson of thumb is that you want to save as many times as possible. So that didn't exactly work out for me. Plus the fact that it nearly caused my entire hard drive to collapse. So yeah, DromEd wasn't exactly that much friendly. Plus, probably NewDark has probably a better version of DromEd or something. I think they've actually made a lot of differences to DromEd over the years. So if I was to do it, I'd probably be doing that, which means I'd probably want to use NewDark, and well, that means I would actually have to get accustomed to NewDark at some point. But like I said, for now, I want to do the old vanilla way and check out everything in the old school way. It's just, to me, that's how I feel. Look at how it was intended to be played, because that way you can at least see what they were intentionally trying to do, instead of all these random bugs that they weren't even meaning, that degrades quality even more. Anyway, I think that's pretty much all we can say about that. I'm sorry not to say about the end area where Twitch started freaking out on me and started, disconnecting me a lot. like I said, I really think the issue has something to do with Twitch. It just depends when you record. Sometimes it will do fine and let me record for 6 hours straight, no problem. Sometimes it will disconnect me a few minutes after starting. So, yeah, it can be kind of random. You don't know what to expect and just hope for the best. At least now it's alarming me when that happens. So, that's a step up. And the other good news is the fact that with that one thing deactivated, it's actually going to be coming to a solid output on YouTube so that you actually get to see the full thing instead of it broke up into a million parts or something now. Anyway, as I was saying, I think we can wrap this up. Thank you for watching, everyone, including PHPMinor, even though he went BRB, so he won't get to see the end of this, sadly. And Nexusletum, as usual. Thank you for watching this. I'm sorry if I'm, sometimes rambling on about various things or whatnot. But hey, I know you're very passionate about the Thief series, so you probably enjoy, just letting anybody play in it. As much people that can play the game as possible. The more support for this game, the better. So, anyway, with all that in mind, I know I just said this 2 times in a row, but I'm going to wrap things up. I shall see you all next time. Take care, everybody. Oh, look, and now I just caused a blinky screen. Okay, really get out of here. Oh, I fixed the blinky screen. See you all later, people.